All right, I had to jump in here because this whole thing about the Pope of the Catholic Church going to South Sudan caught my attention because it reeked of age old religious indoctrination. And so here you have a country like South Sudan that's been going through civil unrest, if you will, turmoil, war, however you want to categorize it. But somehow this white pope comes in of this predominantly, when I say white led religion, and I'll touch on that in a second. It just kind of reeked of something stale. So here we are, the people traveling all these miles, all this melanin traveling to go see this little white man. And so it just didn't make sense. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, now, so the people, some of the players that are going to supposedly help with this peace effort are obviously this dude, Pope Francis. Then you had another leader of the Church of England, another leader of the Church of Scotland. And all of these are predominantly white-led organizations. Now they're going to this black, if you will, this African country trying to bring peace. And again, it's this saviors complex. They're coming in to save this country. This is what it appears. They're coming in to save this country from its own civil unrest. And then you got the little black people up here, celebrating them and going through this whole thing. And it's the same game that was played on Africans and the indigenous people in America and the indigenous people in South America, this religious indoctrination. And it was just really sad. It says right here, the mass which took place at John Garang Mausoleum in front of an audience of 70,000, according to estimates, was filled with cheerful worshipers waving flags and in deep prayer. The religious ceremony fell on the last day of the Pope's visit to South Sudan, which was his first to the country. Since it got independence in 2011, the country has been racked by civil war after the president fell out with his then vice president in 2013. Now, what people don't realize is that these, independence and all this stuff is granted by the Europeans and the Americans and whoever else is involved in that whole process. And the people that they put in place are these pawns. And so basically what they do is the imperial interests, they set it up for disaster. They exploit ethnic conflicts. And then from there, it creates a situation, a toxic, trauma-filled situation for the people. And so then what they do is they come in and act like they're saviors with their NGOs, with their different programs, with their resources, but without realizing that these people are the very ones who were causing the problem in the first place or exploiting the problem, because definitely there are problems within these ethnic groups. So it just raised a red flag to me. And then it says here in this subtitle, Christianity is one of the major faiths in the country alongside traditional religions. Well, a lot of people would even debate whether or not Catholicism is Christianity. So that's a whole different conversation. But then it says the Pope, who visited the country alongside other Christian leaders, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, and the Moderator of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland, Reverend Ian Greenshields, has been on a peace mission and pleaded with South Sudanese clergy to raise their voices against injustice on Saturday. Again, hypocrisy. It's nauseating, and people excuse it, and it's like really sad. Here's this black person walking around with these white men on their back. For real. But again, people can do what they want to do, but then don't complain when y'all got civil war, when y'all got stuff going on, and y'all running up the butts of these clowns. I'm just saying. I think the saddest part for me was this clip right here. And this really was sad. Some South Sudanese people told the Vatican News that they are tired of it because of the war. And that's what happens when you get desperate. You chase after desperation in desperate situations. But this right here, this little baby, seeing this little image of this white whatever's supposed to be Mary, Jesus, whatever they want to make it. And this little brown baby right here is seeing this image and being indoctrinated from childhood. And it's like, wow. Now granted, in America, we had the Florida Evans situation and all of that. So it's not that this is uncommon, and we've been through it. People still going through it. There's people in 2023. You got Black Americans running around chasing after these white entities and white seminaries and white people, and still have put white on a pedestal. And when I say this, it's not there are a lot of other people who are considered white who recognize what time it is, and they're tired of it too, and they're speaking up and they're saying, "Listen, we got to change this," and they're having a different conversation. So here's some hypocrisy. Speak up on injustice, Pope tells South Sudan clergy. I'm like, Negro, please, you speak up on injustice and clean up the mess that the Catholic Church has done, the terrorism it has done over hundreds of years, with some cash. Bump all this talk and all this other kind of foolishness. Drop some cash. But see, the deal is they drop the cash to go bankrupt. And so I just hope that black people around the world wake up to the fact that the Catholic Church was one of the very entities that kicked off the European slave trade or authorized it, and used King Alfonso V to do it, along with Pope Nicholas V. And we just got to do better, y'all. We just got to do better. And we just can't be looking for the great white hopes to come in and save us. Obviously, if you've been under a situation like South Sudan, this is what they see, and it's all they know. And so I don't necessarily fault them as a whole, obviously, because this is what they've been indoctrinated with. All of the borders in the continent of Africa have been created by European or Arab interests. The educational systems are run by European or Arab interests, and they just use the little African leaders to continue to peddle their propaganda and indoctrinate the minds of the people. And here we are, in 2023, with black people still chasing, black people still chasing the butt of, the Catholic Church and the Protestants and all of that, this, that, and the third. We just got to do better. That's all I got to say. Got to do better.